Hi, marketing leader. Today I'd like to talk to you about call to actions and just give you a few hacks how to increase conversions on your website by using them. So, first one, button levels. Okay, you want to think of buttons in a sense of levels. So what it means is you have to guide the user through the hierarchy of your page and tell them what action to take at which point. So in order to do that, you introduce primary buttons, secondary buttons, and maybe even tertiary buttons. First one is obviously the one that you have to have everywhere on your page. That is primary button, and it often points at an action that you want them to take the most. Okay, so that is usually find out more about your services, get in touch. It's the actual converting action that you want people to take. Now, a secondary button, not only it differs in looks, but it also shows on the page in various forms and in many places because it is highly contextual piece of interface. So you provide secondary button to assist user with finding out more about an actual piece of content that they've just read. So for example, you could have on the homepage sections devoted to explaining your individual products or services, and under each one of them you would have a secondary button that says read more about X, and then lower down you'd have learn more about Y, etc. So that shows basically a hierarchy of information. Okay, there's always find out more, the primary call to action, floating probably in the navigation or above the fold or wherever you like, but there are always secondary options for users that are just not ready yet to convert, and they simply want to know more. So you don't want to hit them with a wall, you want to present them an option to transition to a place and moment in their mind when they are ready to actually approach you and engage with your brand a bit more. So that's why you use button levels, okay? There's also a scenario where you use third level of a button, and it's very plain. It almost looks like an inline link, but it helps with internal linking and it helps with side notes, perhaps maybe links within a page itself. So when you click a link, it scrolls the window down to a relevant heading, like in an FAQ section. So just think of button levels as framework to create hierarchy of information on the page or on the website holistically. Okay, so that's the first tip. Button levels, take care of them. Second tip is, well, let's stick to primary buttons for now because there's more to them than you think. First of all, they need to look the same, please. They always have to look the same across the board, so user associates that kind of button as the main action on every single page. Don't change their colors, don't change their shape, don't change the label unless it is per page basis. It depends on the context. You might have a different label for the primary button on your landing pages than on your home page. It all depends. You will know that better than me. But bottom line is, primary button should always say the same thing unless, there's like a edge case scenario. Next, don't confuse people by giving them more than one primary button on the page, in the sense that they lead to different places, they call for different actions. So if you decide that on the homepage the best button is, book a demo, it always should say book a demo on that page. Whether they scroll down, open a pop-up, like whatever that is, book a demo all the way, and ideally for any commercial orientated pages, because that just gets ingrained in the user's mind. It removes cognitive load and it's just simple to follow. Next one is use verbs in front of the button labels. That's super important. You have to give users a bit of more context of what is going to actually happen when they click on the button. It can't just be like PDF, that's it, or even worse, just an icon. That's not self-explanatory. You have to tell people a bit more what to expect. So don't shy away from writing long button labels. You can go for click here to download a PDF. That's absolutely okay. It's fine. Or click here to open in a new tab. That's also okay. You can add a little icon at the end to indicate that external link, but doesn't have to be there. You can say, book a demo to learn about and insert your product name, that's also absolutely fine. Just don't say demo, don't say PDF. To be honest, even vague buttons like learn more are a bit off-putting, I would say. Learn more about what? Like, what's the why should I click that button? Try to maybe asking yourself that question. Why would user would feel like they should click that button? Learning more about everything is probably not an option on your website, so try to be a bit more precise what they are going to learn about when they click that button. Okay, just be specific, give them as much context as possible, and you are golden. And finally, I would say mind the order of buttons, and that's different to button levels. When I mean mind the order of buttons is try to create a conversation with your user. So when they land on whatever page they land on, and you probably know also which landing pages are the best on your website or most visited, you can start to have a conversation with that user. And as I said earlier, when you have the primary call to action, book a demo straight away when they don't know anything about your brand or product, it's probably too much for them. So just as you were explaining your product or solution to a friend, start having that conversation by putting buttons that give them more and more insight about your product and solution. It's just like explaining how universe works to a 5-year-old, right? You would just say the planet is round. That's it. But later in life, you could explain it's actually elliptical. So you just build on top of that knowledge as they traverse through your website. Don't overwhelm them from the get-go. Just keep it nice and easy to get into, okay? Keep that conversation going with the buttons and other inline links. And actually, I have one more bonus for you. Have you ever heard of Fitt's law? It's actually quite cool. So what it means is Fitt's law, it defines the time it takes to click a target based on the distance to that target and its size, but that's also there. So effectively what it means for a website, try to keep buttons and all the actions and all the important information close together. Don't make people drag their mouse pointer across the screen. Try to keep in mind some people have really large screens, and now with 5K retina screens or even 2K, that takes a while. It actually takes a proper motion of a hand to grab that mouse pointer from one corner to the other. So keep those buttons close by. Don't stretch them if that's unnecessary. Group them together and keep it all nice and clean so that user has as little friction as possible when using your website. So just to recap, button levels, primary button always looks the same. Primary button always has one label per page, ideally per group of pages if you try to create a cohesive user journey. You use verbs in those buttons, give people a bit more context, what's going to happen when they interact with them. Mind the order of buttons, it's a conversation. And finally, keep those buttons close together, close to the information, and don't let people jump on the screen because that's a bit, cumbersome. So that's all. And if there's anything else you think I've missed, please do let me know. I'll be happy to add that to the list in the future videos. For now, thanks so much for watching and see ya. Bye.